you got there, Andrew? Oh, Andrew's cradling a little crocheted alien baby and giving him a little lemon. Oh, he dropped it. Welcome to Sweet Boys, episode 13.
13.
Ooh, 13. Oh, scary number. No, I don't know. I actually don't believe that. That's just something that you hear and go, oh, that must be the truth because people talk about that. I have a great relationship with the number 13. I don't think anything has ever happened.
Number 13. Do they still in hotels do that thing where they try to trick everybody into thinking there's not a 13th floor?
I don't know.
12 to 14 on the elevator?
If you don't know about what Andrew's talking about right now, which maybe you do, but yeah, there's a thing where they don't put the floor 13 in hotels because they think it's a superstitious thing it's an unlucky number, so they don't put it in there. And then it just became normal. A normalized thing that the floor 13 is not there. Isn't that funny?
But has that been the case actually across all hotels? And B, is that still a thing?
I don't know, man. I don't know. If you live in a hotel, let us know. No, seriously.
Yeah.
I'm so curious. Next time you're in a hotel, tweet us. Oh my gosh. Send us freaking a picture of the floors.
Or of the elevator buttons.
Or
going
that's
from
what
12 to 13 to 14.
Dude, I love elevators.
We could make merch that basically glorified the number 13 just because the number 13's been in the corner alone at the lunch table, and it's time it gets its moment.
Dude, that's a really nice idea. Hey, 13, if you're listening, we love you. The number 13.
Okay.
You know
I think we're done.
Oh, no, Andrew.
The podcast is over.
Oh, no, we
talked about the whole 13 thing.
Oh, no.
And that was fun.
No, we just got started.
And that was long conversation.
No. Really quick.
Podcasts, that's what they do. So we're done.
Thank you so much for listening. You know what I've been thinking a lot about recently? This is what's been on my mind, and I ain't talking Georgia. Crickets. Everyone throwing their phones into the ocean, driving their cars as fast as they can.
They're not throwing them. They're punting them. For some reason.
That's really funny.
Critics are calling it worthy of punting your phone into a river. That would be...
Yeah.
If we elicited that emotion from somebody, we're not condoning anybody doing that, but...
You know what I've been thinking a lot about, Andrew, is the healing energy of... Do you know what's coming? Do you know what word is about to come out of my mouth?
No.
The healing energy of content. And I really do mean that. I know that sounds like a little bit self-aggrandizing. Aggrandizing?
Ariana Grande.
Thank you, next. Truly, I've been thinking a lot about, for me personally, content is super, super, super healing, I have learned in this time. And what I mean by content is content, things that happen in entertainment. I was watching WandaVision last night, a show that I'm currently very obsessed with, and it was Agatha all along. And for those of you who understand what I just said, God bless you and I love you. I've been thinking so much about how much that means to me because I watched that episode. I was so into it. I was sitting there in front of the thing, watching the Marvel logo, everything, how invested, how emotionally with the show I was. And I thought, man, in this time of feeling like you're just kind of in a desert of emotions with not much that thrills you, not much that whatever, content right now is something that I've realized how important it is to me, not just me, but people in America in general, movie theaters, concerts, everything, entertainment. And then that turned into me watching the Captain America, the first film, because I was like, I haven't seen that in forever. And then it turned into me watching the sequel to that movie. And so I watched 2 movies back to back, crying, laughing, just having a good time. And I was like, man, this is something that people don't really have right now. And I realized how incredibly sort of healing and nice it is for me to sort of escape into this beautiful oasis of storytelling and fiction. And I'm sorry, I know I'm just rambling a lot right now, but it did make me realize something that I do appreciate about myself, which is my, ability to love things and to be a fan. Because to be a fan is something that I've had people sort of, shade me about in my life or something like that, kind of be a little bit weird towards that energy. There was a moment on the internet where this guy was watching the trailer for The Last Jedi, the Star Wars movie, and he was crying because he was so emotionally affected by it.
Yeah.
And then some woman, I don't remember who it was, I think it was an entertainer, or I don't remember. She quote tweeted that video and said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing it, but she said something along the lines of how pathetic that this is what our men do now, or this is what they react to, that that kind of thing.
Sure.
Shading the fact that it was pathetic to cry at things and stuff like that. And of course, the internet reacted as you'd assume they would. And, Mark Hamill and all these Star Wars cast members and stuff, like he got invited to the premiere and they sent him all this incredible limited swag.
Sure.
Really, really like took care of him. And he got a huge audience because of it. A huge audience that still watch him react to trailers and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've had people, sometimes jokingly like laugh at the fact that I have like a pretty extensive wand collection. And I know it seems funny on the surface, but it's one of those things that actually I think is one of my favorite things about being alive is to love things unapologetically and, fictional universes, things like Marvel, and just to be a fan means so much to me. And I think that's something that other fans definitely understand. But yeah, and then I don't know, I guess to emote some form of self-awareness, I'm aware that maybe I'm tired of the sound of my own voice right now because I've been talking nonstop.
You keep on talking, man. I'm over here smelling this lemon. if I ever need to, I can pat Baby Yoda and I'm listening to you. I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Well, you know what? I guess all I'm saying when I really refocus, point is that I was just thinking of the fact that during this time, how much content means to me and how much it's important for me to realize that, anime, and for some people, and also like the weird subjectivity of it. Because I was like, oh, my version of Marvel for some people is like YouTubers. I mean, God forbid, hey, listen, maybe it's even us. I don't know. Sounds a little, whatever.
Yeah, I think a good analogy would be your relationship with something like anime.
Yeah.
And my relationship with watching YouTube are almost the same.
Yes.
The same.
And also the how it's like the same for everyone. Like sports to some people, like when people are like, oh, I hate sports. I'm like, I've kind of joked about that before, just being like, oh, it's another language to me. Well, but it's also like, oh, come on. Sports to some people is like.
Yeah, that whole thing of people thinking, I suppose you could take, I'm sure there's plenty of them.
Yeah.
You could take people who are obsessed with live streaming and gaming, who are completely infatuated and surrounded by what games are coming out and different people on the internet. And then you could take somebody who's obsessed with sports and watching SportsCenter and following along and listening to talk radio about their sports teams. And they could both say the same thing about their thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, whenever I hear that, I'm just like, yeah, this doesn't hold up against anything because you're saying the same thing that person's saying about the kind of exact same thing. It's just a different thing. So
yeah,
I don't know, like people who think, like sports, like who cares about sports? It's like, I don't know. That same person who loves sports probably wonders why you care about art or something.
Yeah.
It's just
and it's really easy to like lose sight of that because in your mind it's so different. But I remember when I was like probably 15 or something, I was probably when I was younger, I probably said silly things like that of like shaded sports or not really understood it. But when I was a kid, I remember I was over at my uncle's place and I saw a bunch of guys reacting so. The sports, just screaming.
You ever been to a Buffalo Wild Wings during a UFC fight?
No, I've never been to it.
It's the craziest thing that's ever happened. It's comment below if you've ever been to a Buffalo Wild Wings pre everything going on and experience that. I don't know how people are working there. It's just I just don't. I feel like.
What do you mean?
It just seems like something that would make everybody at the same time go, "Oh, I'm quitting." Like this is crazy.
Is it just a bunch of like.
It's just no. It's not only loud. It's like banging on the table, spilling everything, screaming. I mean, I remember sitting at a booth and I was watching this fight. Oh, you want to go to watch the fight or whatever? I'm like, oh, I'm doing nothing tonight. Sure. And then just midway through it, feeling like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here because everybody's like, I mean, what is that? What is that like? It's just when your energy level doesn't match the room's to the point where it's like comically obvious. What do you even do in that situation?
You just wallflower.
I've always been like that. I like that I've had friends who are even aware of my relationship with that thing, and they'll still invite me to it or whatever. But it's just funny. I'm not gonna be. You're not gonna find me banging on a Buffalo Wild Wings table watching a UFC fight. But I don't shade the people for doing that. I think it's a little weird that they're doing it in a public forum, but everybody's somehow subscribed to that being okay.
Yeah, if you're going to go to something like that on the night of a fight, you're clearly down for that energy.
I just hope that places like that, when they have these big pay-per-view events, they just buy the thing, and then people flock there. I just hope that the people who show up and cause this sort of communal disturbance of noise and screaming, I hope that they're buying a bunch of stuff and leaving great tips. Because can you imagine if you had a migraine, I'm going to go into work, and you're like just working at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and that happens? Whew.
That would be crazy. The point is that it's all related too. So if you're
Yes,
a
it
person,
is.
yeah, if you know, like when someone's talking about sports or maybe your boyfriend or your dad or your friend or someone's going on about this, just remember that your investment in Attack on Titan is their same investment in the Gators versus the Lakers. How'd I do?
Technically, I think you're referring to the Florida Gators, which is a college team, which could be football and basketball.
Ooh.
So your best bet would be that the college basketball team is somehow playing the Los Angeles Lakers, which is in fact an NBA professional team.
I just become really hypocritical. Boring.
Well,
it's like the worst. Like,
well, that just would never happen.
I am grateful to have something like that. Just I'm glad that a person who has sports has sports. I'm glad that a person who has, it's nice to just to love things. And my involvement, I thought about the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I was like, man, that has been with me through all my 20s. I've had that in my heart. I've followed those characters. I've loved those characters. I've consumed that stuff. It's been like a part of my life. And that's why I just bawl when I watch certain movies. I cried like 3 times watching the Captain America films. And I was just like, God, this feels so good, especially in a time when things are pretty muted.
Yeah.
I just loved it. And I know people feel the same way about sports, the rise and the fall of, players and this and investment and opinions and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I've always appreciated. And I think unfortunately, I like a lot of things a little bit. Sounds like you like a few things a lot, which is great because you like anime, you like superhero movies, you like certain types of music a lot.
Yeah.
And for me, I like, to a certain degree, all of that stuff kind of, but also sports and like literally everything. But yeah, I'm not like a huge fanboy for anything in particular.
Yeah, that's true.
Except I will say, I guess when I put that to task, I do stand me Drake.
Well,
it's just true. I'm like anxiously anticipating when he's gonna say that his album's coming out, and I will be excited just the same way that you're excited about a new Marvel movie. But I will say, if The Matrix comes back, that's one of those things where I'm like, if they do it right, and I see a trailer that's like sick, I'm like, all right, let's go, because when I was younger, I would get super hyped up, like Bad Boys 2, The Matrix Reloaded, just rewatching the trailer over and over again, even though I couldn't get the whole thing to load really quickly. So it was like the trailer was loading as I was watching it, and it would stop, and I would just be like, all right, go back to the beginning. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm not going to go on a Matrix rant, I promise, but my devotion to the Matrix in high school, junior high for me was so comical, and maybe someone will appreciate this. I looking back on it, I think it's pretty funny. For 30 days, I think about 30 days before the movie came out in theaters, I had a countdown on the outside of my binder. Because you know how like you can, when you talk about things and then it's just a flood of memories, how you can like insert pieces of paper into like the front of your binder.
Yeah.
For me, those were always like very intricate. They were like a crazy showcase of like
see that.
collage things, pictures, this, that, and I'd switch them out like every, couple weeks or something. And I would design them so intricately. But for 30 days, I had a countdown to like the release of The Matrix Reloaded. And it was like a really intricate like Matrix scroll, like a really nice looking Matrix scroll that I hand drawn. But I would like, show everyone and think that I was doing everyone sort of a favor. Like, oh no, this is like really helpful. I don't think anyone ever even noticed it. I thought it was.
No.
I was like, for the people,
very funny.
It would be like The Matrix comes out in 14 days or something.
Even you bringing that up makes me feel a little bit more in touch with that part of me, because when you're a kid, at least it sounds like me and you both did so many specific weird little things that probably nobody else cared about. I specifically remember waking up and being excited on Friday mornings to get the paper so that I could cut out of the movie section. They would have like these little black and white
the posters.
poster things, and then I would take that and I would put it up on a cork board. And I remember like the night before being like, oh, I wonder how big it's going to be and what it's going to look like. There was like a James Bond movie I remember I was like stoked for, to like just cut it out. And then you do these little things. You're so content with living in your own little universe, because clearly 10, 15 years later, I'm sure you've kind of subtly broke it to yourself that you were probably not doing the school a service by having the Matrix Reloaded countdown, but you were doing yourself a service
All
by
all the jocks. Yeah, thank God. Like that Garrett guy, like that's so cool. Like you notice that we now know when the Matrix Reloaded's gonna drop in theaters because of his binder, right? And the other guy, like, yeah, man, I'm so grateful.
I remember going to the movie theater and pre-buying my ticket for the Matrix Reloaded.
Really?
Yeah, I still
have my movie ticket for the Matrix Reloaded.
That's cool.
I swear.
Yeah. Well, going back to the guy reacting to that trailer, it's funny because I did have this weird epiphany, because I like to think of things very simple. I don't inherently. I think of things very complicated in a very complicated way. But I like the idea of sort of summing up things in simple ways because it makes life, I think, easier in terms of evolving and learning. But yeah, the other day I did have this thought. I was like, oh, life is kind of, and it's on a continuum, but generally speaking, life is all about like happy tears.
That's such a tweet it first of all.
I will tweet that. I'll throw that on a sweater.
You know what's funny? I have a
dark blue.
I have a nice with white. Yeah, that's great. I have a sort of a parallel. Sounds like weirdly podcast mode. I have a parallel ideology that I've thought about tweeting this. No, I've always wanted to tweet. Loving things is tight. For some reason, I've never executed.
We were definitely drinking something at some point, like 2 years ago, and you tweeted like, everyone is cool. I love everyone and everyone is cool.
Oh yeah, I have like some. My draft. Tessa Brooks tweeted out an image of her draft tweets the other day. Some of them were fire. I was like, Tessa,
fire.
Yeah. I just started speaking like Gigi Hadid. Yeah, I like hit her up and I was like, some of those should come through.
I wonder how many. Comment below if you know what Garrett's talking about.
What are you looking at? Tessa Brooks drafts?
My favorite one.
The last 3 are just you, by the way. I almost like screenshotted those and said, those are just you.
God just knew I'd be too powerful if I didn't have anxiety. Yeah. I've been talking to myself an alarming amount during this quarantine period. You can always find a reason to not do anything. Yeah, those are done well, Tessa. You should have, and you should maybe, well, she kind of did, I suppose.
Yeah, she kind of did in a way.
This one I like the most. What if one of the pennies I have is one I've had before?
Oh my God.
True.
I didn't even think about that.
That's weirdly deep. It's more of an analogy.
Content though is something I love so much. I think that's what I was saying. I'm just grateful for it, man. So if, by the way, I've heard people in the comments be like, "Oh, thank you guys for doing Sweet Boys." That's like it's like something that makes me feel good. I'm like, hey, are we creating that? Whoa! If so, damn grateful. Really cool to know that that's happening. I question your logic. I'm kidding. No, I'm really grateful. That's really sweet, and it's why it's a huge reason why we do this. Is because of that energy. So thank you for expressing that to anyone who has said things like that in the past.
I agree with everything that you just said.
Do you know what I did the other night, Andrew?
Stood in your kitchen.
Well,
leaning against the counters, but not like sitting on top of it. And you were eating something out of the container.
The can, yeah.
That gold, without warming it up.
Oh, yeah.
With a utensil that the average person would not use for what you were eating.
No, that's literally every day for me.
No, well, yeah, I know, but I knew that much, so I was right.
It's a really good start. What Andrew just described is something I do every day. I don't like food heated up. In fact, when I cook food, I usually put it in the fridge to let it get cold. I really like eating cold food. I do not like eating food that is heated up.
What?
You didn't know this about me?
No, I did, but you put it in the fridge.
Yeah, when I cook stuff on my own, usually I will cook it and then put it in the fridge for like 2 hours and then come back to it so it gets cold.
Not me holding a lemon the whole time. Sorry. You want to talk about Pudgy Woke for the next 45 minutes?
Oh, yeah. Can I do Pudgy Woke?
Jesus.
Wait, what is it?
For everybody listening, if you don't know about Pudgy Woke, he's a small chihuahua on TikTok that has a very interesting, fun bark. But I will say, knowing that Garrett's about to, for the first time in his life, attempt to do the Pudgy Woke impression, gives me so many mixed emotions, I can't even explain it. It's like fear for myself because I'm wearing these headphones. No. I can hear everything he's doing pretty loudly.
No. I had a way better idea.
Curiosity.
No. I had a way better idea. I was like, why would I try to do that when I could just play through the microphone Pudgy Woke right now? And then people would be like, oh, that's what that is. Yeah. So here's just the first Pudgy Woke. It's a little dog.
Just give y'all a speech, but I think it's only fair and,
boss man himself.
Y'all hear from the boss man himself. Hey.
That was Pudgy Woke.
I love that. I don't know the guy's name, but I love that he always acts surprised when like Pudgy like bites the microphone and he's like, wait. Like, you've done that 128 times.
Dude, it's
always happens.
Yeah, Pudgy Woke is someone that I give my full go follow Pudgy Woke on TikTok. It's such a great account. It's so funny. Andrew, I have often I've often thought about how cool it would be to own a cat. I love dogs so much. I love cats so much. You know, some people, I'm a dog person, I'm a cat person. I do think that by nature, if I were to choose one, would definitely be a cat person, I think.
It doesn't. You saying that,
Yeah.
it goes against everything that I know about you.
I know it does, but what I think
But then
about,
again,
yeah.
and I say this with as much friendly tone as I can. I think that you taking care of a dog, I don't know about it.
Well,
I think that would be quite the tall order for you.
Well, that's
As it would be for me. I wouldn't.
think-
That's why I wouldn't get a dog right now in my life.
I do think that, by the way, if there was like a dog that needed a home, if my brother, who I love his dog Gator, if he was like, hey, Gator's too much for us. If he was like, would you want to own Gator? I would own Gator like that. If I knew the dog, I would be the best dog dad or whatever you want to call it on the planet. I really would be.
Well, I don't necessarily mean from a competent standpoint. I think I mean in like a making sense standpoint. You know, 'cause
making
especially
sense-
when things go back to normal, the most used phrase of 2021
You know what?
2020. You're gonna want to be moving around and doing stuff and traveling, and I mean that's the whole thing. Have we
Yeah.
talked about this before?
I don't think we have.
The idea of a dog kind of anchoring you into a certain lifestyle.
Well,
I talked about that.
we've talked about that. I didn't know if you meant on the podcast.
I've talked about it to my
Yeah.
hair cutting person who is lovely and very good and cuts my hair.
Oh.
Home run.
Here he goes.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Never makes a mistake. Looks at the photos I give her and goes, I got it. And then I look at the mirror and go, yep, you got it. And then I walk around the town.
Okay. This
Fresh
is for
cut on
listeners
him.
of episode 11 who heard Andrew's epic saga. with
Point
his,
is, alarm coming in hot there. A little more reverb on it that time.
Oh.
Nice. I just pointed to Rila Kuma. I got to go back and film all.
God.
What was the point? Oh yeah, I was talking to my hairstylist, hairdresser, barber. What do I say?
Hair cutter. The worst version of it.
It's just like-
Cut my hair person. Cut my hair
the person who cuts my hair.
Yeah.
I was speaking to her about it, and she has dogs.
Oh, how many?
I think 2.
You know how some people have like 6 dogs? You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I saw this movie once. It was a Swedish film about like it was like a bunch of dogs sort of like taking over an entire city. But it's like it sounds wacky, but it was like a really sweet, like intimate sort of drama.
Sounds stupid.
Oh my God, Andrew.
It sounds unrealistic, fake. Okay, buddy. Time to cut the act.
Okay. Whoa.
Time to get down to the real convo.
What is it?
I don't know.
Oh,
I wanted people who were doing the dishes and like not necessarily paying attention to kind of go. What?
Well, I wrote down a couple things. Oh, Andrew, you wrote down something. Andrew and I have this shared note in our phones where we kind of go, oh yeah, we kind of want to talk about this. I talked about no, that's the thing that I scratched because it was too terrifying.
And by the way, I'm sorry for anybody who's distracted by the fact that I'm not going to say that it's your quote fault, but this is because of you. I just am smelling this. You were going to say Kelly Clarkson?
No, I wasn't going to. Maybe I was
It was
going
going to happen. Yeah. Also,
No, there's a Tony Bennett song called "Because of You." So
were
maybe
you going to say Tony Bennett?
Yep, that's what I was going to
Seems like
do.
you're panicking,
No, that's because
covering up your tracks.
down
Kind
some-
of like me when I converted that railroad.
Oh my God!
Well, let's just say the train wasn't working anymore. So
Oh, yeah? When'd you do
we,
that?
built some factory. That was back in the late '80s, over in lower west side of Oregon, the rural area.
Wow.
I've been around, man.
Okay.
The life that I lived is much more.
What's the most important thing that you learned when you were laying down railroad tracks in the 80s?
No. I was converting it. It was a railroad track.
Oh, sorry.
I was
What's the most
covering up the
important?
tracks.
What's the most important
It
thing
was
that
an
you learned?
insincere analogy because I wasn't so much covering up the tracks as I was removing them.
Okay.
In place of allowing land to be built there for factories.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the factories. Tootsie Roll factory, actually.
Oh, where's that?
Is the lower west side.
Okay,
of
let me Google
Oregon.
that real quick
Google
before
it.
you-
Google it away. You sound like
Well-
you're skeptical.
Well,
that
no, I
this thing
looked it up on my phone. Where's the Tootsie Roll factory?
Is the
You
lower
said
west side of Oregon. yeah.
Oregon?
Well, no, it was there back in the '80s when I.
Oh,
when
no,
I
no, no.
helped clear the railroad.
No, this
track.
one's been there for a long time, actually. This is the only one. It's in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, well, of course, you're looking at the main factory, but you're talking about the western
Silly me.
division,
Silly
the
me.
region, the
That's-
western regional.
You're right.
You think they make Tootsie Rolls in one place, and then they just
I think that's
give
how
them.
I think that's how that
Oh
works.
no. That would be very expensive. and
we
pointless.
call this podcast "Exposing the Tootsie Roll Factory Production Line."
I kind of want to do that to just see what that looks like.
Me too.
Like, is it 8 people or is it 25 people that click on that?
Can you imagine working in a factory? It's probably one of those things that I'm romanticizing right now and think would be fun. It'd probably be not that fun, but I do think about it. I think most people do, right?
I don't think so.
What were you going to say about Turkish bath towels? So Andrew and I have this.
My goodness.
Andrew and I have this shared note that we write things down that are important to us in this quarantined life of ours that we want to speak about. And so Andrew wrote down, and we don't tell each other what it is in the
This is
shared
a fun
note.
segment. Where the podcast is evolving. Won't it be fun on episode 50 when we've actually combined all of these segments together and you got a full blown podcast show?
Imagine that.
Yeah.
We think we'll get there someday. Okay.
Maybe.
Turkish bath towels. What about them?
Yeah, podcast mode. Here's the thing. Went over the old BB&B. Okay.
Oh God.
Went
Bed
over-
Bath and Beyond.
That's right.
Okay.
People know what I'm talking about when you get the mail every day and you go, why am I being sent this? Until you get the Bed Bath & Beyond 20% off coupon, and then you go, this all makes it worth it. And I said, okay, I just moved to a new place. I'm buying new things. I need to get a new towel. And I thought, well, this makes sense for me to invest in something like this.
Yeah.
Something that you use every day. You know, that's what people say. Buy one of something, a really high quality thing. It's like you'll have it forever. And if you use it every day, it's like 2 for 1. I use it every day, and I'm gonna have it forever. Okay, great. I'll spend some money on a towel. I think I spent like $80 on a towel.
Ooh.
I know. No, I know. I get it. My whole theory was,
Whoa.
when you get out of the shower at like a hotel, sometimes their towels are really good at like getting the water off immediately.
You could steal those.
And I was like, oh, interesting. That you're right there. The mind went there. I was making it a harmless analogy, just comparing to the nature of, so people could relate to it. You jumped
to crime.
You jumped from the relatability element to the how can I
to crime?
Can I commit?
Hey.
Oh, he's backing it up now. He's really
Okay, I'm kidding. Listen, don't steal towels.
Okay. We're blurring out the wink face.
I'm not winking. Don't steal,
Oh
guys.
my
Don't steal
God.
towels from hotels that you think are nice.
End this yesterday.
That's merch. End this yesterday. Okay, no, I'm seriously kidding.
Okay. Yeah. You are kidding, because I believe it's called Kantian ethics.
Whoa.
Back in
Oh.
back when I took my
I must be a professor at Harvard School in Law.
back when I took my ethics class in junior year of college, I had to give a speech on that, and basically they said, if you think that you can do that, and then you have to assume that everybody does it, and if everybody does it and it's not okay, then you can't do it.
I don't commit any
You
crimes.
can't be stealing towels, because then if everybody's going to steal a towel, there'll be no towels left. And guess what it's going to be? People going to hotels who need to go to a hotel, getting out of the shower, sopping wet like a wet dog.
Like a wet dog. Or a wet dog. If someone bathed their dog in the hotel. Now I'm messing up the schedule of a dog.
Yeah, you
I
be
can't
doing
do that. No one can do that. If you steal a towel, I'm coming after you.
Limit on the back of the bone spider alarm.
No. But really, I never went through a stealing phase. My whole life, I never went through a stealing phase.
I don't think I ever stole anything. I think there was like,
Oh, I did steal something once.
oh really?
It's like a huge problem.
Okay.
I was like, no, it was just like a file. It was like 2 years ago from like this.
File?
Yeah, but it was like this.
Seems like the worst thing.
No, but I had just getting behind this. No, but I had done something really wrong. It was from the police station. I had to sneak in.
Oh my God.
No, I'm joking. What has gotten into me this podcast?
I mean, you've never brought that up to me. Now I'm wondering.
No. I've never done anything wrong. No, I was going to tell you this. Oh, yeah, I stole a piece of candy when I was a kid. It was a little caramel candy, and I didn't think I was stealing it when I was a kid. When you're a child, you don't have any. Did I cut you off? I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you. You were going somewhere. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
I was a kid, and I was like maybe, I don't know, 6 years old. I think it was in Florida when I lived in Florida. I lived in Florida for like 6 years, by the way.
Fun fact alarm.
Fun fact alarm. Oh, what does that sound like? Is that a circus chime?
I don't know. I probably forgot it, and I'll probably have to make it up again.
Oh, add a little giggle in there. There's a really cute one.
Oh.
No, it's fun.
I'm sorry. There's going to be no giggling in our alarms.
Okay.
That sounds not like a non-alarm.
No, I was going to say, yeah, it was a little caramel candy that I stole when I was maybe like 6 years old. I didn't think I was stealing it. All I saw was a pick and mix. And pick and mix are those little candy shelves where like there's a bunch of candy you can open up.
So you didn't steal a file?
Dude, there was no file. Oh wait, no, there was, but that was in high school, and it wasn't that big of a deal.
Okay.
I had every right to take that file.
you stealing a file in high school, knowing it's in high school, it makes it go from like weirdly a problem and almost uncomfortable to listen to kind of a cool,
Dude. Oh, there were so many. Yeah.
kind of a cool, to kind of a cool, fun little movie synopsis.
Have I ever told you my little root beer story? Like it was in high school. I think I have said this on the
Well-
podcast. If I have and anyone's like, shut up, it's not a story. It's not a story. It's literally a 2-sentence thing. I used to walk into this teacher's lounge every single day in high school and just take a root beer from the fridge and like drink it sometimes like in the lounge, and then I would just take it. So it just happened every single day. It was right next to this like art class, and there was a door that I had never opened before, but there was not a sign on it that said like don't come in here, like, you know, staff only or teachers only. It was just like a door that I was like, well, I know that's not a classroom. I opened it one day, and there were like 2 teachers sitting in there and like a student aide,
Okay.
like writing, and they looked up and they were like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, I panicked and I just said, oh, it's good. And I just was like, you have to do something normal now. You have to do something like normal. You can't just like freeze and then walk out the door. So
sorry.
I went to the fridge because there was a little fridge in there.
Just for clarification here.
Yeah.
You said there was a door that you never have been in before? So
Yeah,
You're
like-
basically going into like the teacher's lounge?
Yeah, it was a teacher's lounge.
And
It was,
you knew you were going in there or no?
no. It was
But you
just
said you went in there every day.
no. I did. No. I'm telling you the origin story.
This is how you began to start your daily routine of going
Yes,
to the
this
teacher's
is
lounge.
this is how I.
You
this,
accidentally found this?
yes, it was an
Really?
accident. Yeah, I would say.
You
Well,
didn't just get curious about what was going on in the teacher's lounge?
No. I didn't know it was a teacher's lounge. So this is,
Okay.
yeah. I walk into the door and I see the 2 teachers and the student, and they look up and, hey, you know, just courteous. And I go, hey. And I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to just like turn around like
Yeah.
I had done something wrong.
Yeah.
So I just walked in and I opened up the fridge because there was like a little kitchenette, right?
Yes.
And I just looked in there and I grabbed a root beer. And no one thought anything of it. And
Oh, yeah.
I cracked it open and I left. And they just went, you know, see you, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so the next day, and there were so many root beers in there. I'm talking like over 40. And so the next day I walked in
Yeah.
and I did the same thing. And they said, hello, how's it going? I think they were just assuming that I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, a teacher's aide or
totally,
something
totally.
or whatever, or they were mine. And I just did that every day until the school year ended, which was probably like, I don't know, 4 months or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, just walk in. And I realized in that moment that if you look like you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
no one questions you.
Well, you'd
Which-
have to be
Yeah.
a very specific person to
Yeah.
even have the confidence to call out somebody.
Yeah.
Like even a teachers, whatever. You'd have to be the security guard or somebody who's in there every day who's like in charge of making sure that people who aren't supposed to be in here aren't in here to even call you out because you never know what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine how embarrassing that would be? Excuse me, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, I'm the new substitute teacher.
Yeah.
Sorry, am I not welcomed in here? What's going on? Why are you like calling me out for this? This is uncomfortable. That would feel awful.
Yeah, that would.
So that's probably why you got that pass.
And listen, I was taking advantage of the world in that moment. Maybe that's not great. But if someone would have called me out and they said, hey, I noticed that you've been coming in here every day, like every single day and like taking a root beer. Can I ask, like, who do you work with or what teacher? I would say in that moment, oh, I don't work with any teacher. I saw a door one day and like walked in
Yeah.
and just like
Yeah.
started taking a root beer because I figured it was like okay. Or I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
But like, do you want me to stop? And if they were like, yeah, I'd be like, all right, sorry.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I would just be like, oh, I don't know. I thought it was funny. But that was I didn't have much of a stealing phase. Some people have told me about their stealing phases when they were kids, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I stole all
Oh.
through high school. I stole all through junior high." I'm like, that was never in me to do that.
Yeah, I remember being around
Yeah.
a few people who I think they kind of, they kind of hid it from me.
Yeah.
But I think they had a little bit of like a,
Klepto.
yeah.
I think people go through. I remember when Winona Ryder, she got into a lot of trouble in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think the thing there was people were going, why are you stealing when you're clearly,
Yeah.
a wealthy actor, and making tons of money. And obviously that's, I'm sure she would say, oh, it's not about that at all. It's
Yeah.
about something else, which is, gets into like, I don't remember my psychology classes very well, but there's a lot of that stuff. People have
They're weird. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's women who are millionaires who like just lift things because it's like they're the only thing they have. Maybe they feel like, I'm not saying it's okay, but it is kind of interesting. Like if they're they work in a house and they're the perfect wife and they just feel like they don't have any control. Maybe they're like, I don't know, it's just my weird little thing. I don't know. I never saw the new Ocean's 8 movie, but I wanted to. Apparently they still. Did it just get more humid? What happened? What feels different? Oh, we heard the sound. Remember sponsorship mode.
oh.
Yeah, look, I'm wearing like something different. Sponsorship mode.
Mm.
You want to have a nice, calm sponsorship mode? A nice meditative one? Is that the vibe right now?
100%. Usually, sponsorship mode makes my shoelaces less tight.
Oh.
It makes my mouth about 4% more dry.
Oh, no.
So I'm feeling a little stressed.
I'll tell you what, Andrew, I'm going to treat you to something real wonderful. You can choose the most relaxing environment that you could think of, and I will facilitate this.
Ooh.
So think of the most relaxing place on the planet Earth, and we will be transported there for sponsorship mode.
Ice cream factory.
Oh,
Yum.
Oh, how relaxing. We're hearing the metallic clanks of the factory, the steam shooting out the top of the factory, the industrial equipment, the many tons of heavy boxes. Oh, how calming it is. Oh, was that a whistle by a supervisor I heard? Yes. Thank you for that relaxing idea.
Well, I just figured what's more stress-free than ice cream. So I go to where there's the most ice cream.
Yeah.
And that is the factory.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was a choice.
Let's maybe just change it really quick to a chocolate factory.
Andrew, you lost your right to choose the meditative environment.
Cotton candy store machine.
Listen, take it easy. Can I tell you about something?
I guess.
Green Chef, Andrew, ever heard of it? The first USDA certified organic meal kit company that makes eating healthy, easy, and affordable with plans to fit every lifestyle. I'm sorry, I don't know where this sass is coming from.
I do know about it. Weird tone.
I don't know what got into me.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Listen, here's one of the reasons why I love Green Chef. Not only when I eat their meals does it make me feel healthy and nourished and I'm loving it and they're delicious, but also, Andrew, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, or just looking to eat healthier, there's a range of recipes to suit any diet or preference. Let me paint a terrifying picture for you, Andrew. You know when you go to the grocery store and you go to get your produce, right? And you're going, oh, I don't know, some of that looks a little bit weird. Some of it is spooky. Where did it come from? How long has it been sitting there? Well, that's not the case with Green Chef. You want to know why?
Tell me.
Because Green Chef delivers clean ingredients you can trust, seasonally sourced for peak freshness. Seriously, I ate a Green Chef meal the other night and I felt like a slightly different person. I felt like a better person and it fulfilled like 14 of my 17 needs in the moment.
I have questions, but that's nice to know.
I don't want to answer them.
Good.
And people who want all these wonderful things can go to greenchef.com/sweetboys90 and use code sweetboys90 to get $90 off, including free shipping. Quick side note for those of you who are going, Green Chef, that kind of sounds like HelloFresh. Well, HelloFresh owns Green Chef, so you can enjoy both of them with us at a discount. That's greenchef.com/sweetboys90, where people can go and enter code sweetboys90 to get $90 off and free shipping.
$90 I save. Do you know what I can do with $90?
Dude.
Specifically $90?
If I was you, I'd go to an antique shop and look for a spinning wheel. And then poke your little finger on it. And just like Sleeping Beauty. Oh, and then fall into a rest, and then you wake up and you prince. Oh, you live in a castle. Oh, how fun is that? Oh. All right. Well, let's get back to the podcast.
Back to the episode.
Oh, Andrew, you ever have this really specific feeling when you watch a crime show?
$80 for a towel. So here's the thing about that.
The towel, yeah.
Here's the thing about that.
Okay.
Fun fact for you.
$80 for a towel.
Got the towel. Sure. Soft as heck.
Turkish towel.
Turkish bath towel. Soft as heck. Guess what, though?
What?
I didn't like using it after a while.
Oh.
Very soft, but not the absorption I was looking for at all. Nothing at all. It was almost like wiping my body with a blanket. But like, yeah, it feels warm, but like, it's not absorbing any of the water. And
Ooh.
Point is, I went back and I got a towel that cost $35. Dude, so much better. So much better.
Yes.
I would have paid if the Turkish bath towel cost $35, I would have gone back and happily paid the $80 for the $35 one that was much more absorbent. It feels rougher and it's like, oh, this isn't as luxurious. Guess what? It's literally better in every way. I don't even care about the softness. Point is, I did the same thing with the freaking pillows, dude. The same freaking thing. And I'm not trying to put them on blast, but like this goose feather down pillow thing, whatever the heck it was, whatever fancy, weird, expensive $200 pillow I got. I was like, this is great. I don't care. I got the discount. I'm going to go all out on pillows because I'm spending 8 hours of my day. I'm spending 1/3 of my life on these pillows. If I'm going to spend a couple $100s on pillows, calling me crazy, I think it's a good investment, especially if I have for 10, 15 years and I can just swap out the pillowcase. Bought these pillows. It's like too much fluff in there. My neck's hurting and stuff. I broke out my $20 IKEA pillow. It's home. It's home. It makes me feel like I'm where I need to be for $20. Guess what that is? 1/10 the price.
Dude,
I'm just saying.
That's amazing.
If anybody needed any sort of proof or any sort of validation that, yes, that thing that you think is better, even though it's less expensive or whatever the heck, yes. I'm just, all right.
That's great.
Exposing the laundry and bedding community.
See, Andrew, scream it from a mountaintop.
I will. I'll put a note on Twitter and I can make this thing happen.
I love that, Andrew. Expensive does not mean good.
You gotta buy what you need and what you want. You can't just buy what is like the most.
That I have this opinion that I have to be a little bit careful about when I speak because I never want to sound like I'm being sassy or shading someone for a particular set of behaviors. But I do hold this very specific opinion about like name brands, like the designer brands and stuff. How people start there was a ring. A ring made by Gucci that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could see myself someday owning that ring. I gave myself that. I'm not some weird, everything that they do sucks, designer stuff is whatever. No, I don't hold that opinion. I saw it. I was like, it's like Saturn. It was like all these planets and stuff. It was really cool. I was like, whoa. So I'm susceptible to that. But when people with very wealthy start to be like, everything they own has to be designer and all, I'm just like, that is such a scary trap because that is, in my opinion, sort of an addiction to what they call retail therapy, which is something that I'm susceptible to and I think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Which is buying things in order to feel better. And I think that we all have to combat that nowadays with like Amazon and stuff, that feeling of like, oh, I just want to see this new thing. I want to see this new thing. I want to see this new thing. Do you deal with that?
I mean, I do feel like maybe people who are inherently anxious could relate to this, and maybe this is a misguided idea, but I do feel like I want to double down on my whole minimalism thing. So when it comes to buying anything, really, at this point, I feel like I don't want to do that. The whole idea of buying that pillow, for instance, was like, okay, great, this one pillow, and I'll have this for forever, and like that'll be my pillow. Kind of backfired on me a little bit.
I remember your relationship with this pillow.
It's been more than 90 days. Guess what? I go back there to try to return it. They're going to make a face at me.
Oh, sir.
Great.
Sir, you're going to have to leave with your pillow.
Oh,
wait, you haven't returned it yet?
No.
Andrew?
No, I actually have some floor mats as well that I put in my bathroom. Big flop there.
What was the moral? Is that expensive? It doesn't always mean better?
Well, that's... okay, good try. I don't think that is the takeaway. So, I think, no.
Takeaway? Me with my noodles at my favorite little Chinese restaurant?
Do you mean
Takeout?
takeout?
Oops. Edit it out.
I believe it's in here.
Oh no! Everyone's gonna think I'm a fool.
I wonder if that'll make the cut. Everything that just happened.
I like the idea of us just starting to process out loud.
Oh yeah, this is all going in there.
Yeah, what's bad enough?
Well, eventually we're gonna stop trying to make ourselves sound smarter than we are, and it'll just be the podcast.
Yeah.
Will just be a showcase of how little we actually know how to speak.
Oh.
If that's not already been conveyed. Anyway, point.
Oh, well, you were going to say the takeaway from this.
Well, I just think if the focus in life is always trying to attain what you're sort of prescribed by the world to get, not only is that kind of a waste of energy, but generally speaking, you're missing out on the actual things that you should be getting. Listen, I get it. Weird analogy. We're talking about pillows. We're talking about towels. But expand it. Think about it bigger. I'm just saying, learning yourself and knowing what you actually need and what you actually want is such a more productive experience, because then from there, it's like, okay, I'm learning about myself. I'm understanding what I want out of life. I regret buying the bath towel, but also I learned an incredible lesson, which I'm sure I'll apply to many future purchases and decisions. So I love that bath towel.
Oh, what a wonderful story.
Oh God!
Whoa.
I'm so good at like stories and like saying things,
Andrew?
because I just realized my story like meant so much, and I didn't even realize it.
Oh,
I'm
Andrew.
so good. At
Oh,
that.
you're speaking
I'm
out
doing
loud?
really well.
Oh, Andrew.
This podcast and making good points.
I agree with you, but maybe
I think I'm doing better than Garrett.
Andrew.
I think I'm making better stories.
You don't have to do this.
Yes,
That's a weird campaign.
I'm. Sorry.
I'm better than him.
My jokes are funnier than his.
we have to laugh. We laugh a lot while we're doing our work. That's a weird moral of the story. It's like everyone's like, shut up, just shut up.
It's funny because that's a real. I mean,
Yeah.
realistically speaking, there's probably a lot of people. I think we're just making. I think we're making fun of a real thing.
Oh yeah,
People just being just like so competitive,
dude.
and like in like an arena that inherently makes no sense, like a collaborative, creative, sustainable project.
Yeah, competitive energy is like the silliest thing in the world. That's something I feel like I've never been is competitive, which we call it. Listen, I think competitive energy.
This is like a weird debate that's like I've seen on the internet a lot. Well, I've seen it in multiple specific places in like the gaming community, and then I also heard somebody in a documentary
Yeah.
talking about, you know, like why people are miserable, something about competition or whatever.
Well, okay, like I think this is a nice way to
Competition that they were talking about, it was in a minimalism documentary, and they were talking about like the competition of, you know, keeping up with the Joneses and stuff. I think that's what they meant.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, there's, you know, friendly competition like sports, and then the only thing that I thought of was, well, yeah, but I'm sure that there's from professional to recreational to pickup games, people who have a really unhealthy attitude about competition. So then I'm like, what does that mean?
And I think in sports you can be competitive because the goal in sports is quite literally to win. It's like you have a team, one of them's going to win, one of them's going to not win. So it's like can be friendly competition and a certain temperament around it. Where there cannot be competition is something that is in like YouTubers, for instance. I think is a great example. I could never think of being competitive with anyone else when it comes to creativity because that makes no sense. And when I shouldn't have said YouTubers as much as I just should have said creativity. Yeah. Music, creating things, writing anything, because that comes from you. So you have no business ever thinking about what anyone else is doing in the space. Now, I'm sure there are certain sides of YouTube that are maybe more competitive. I don't really know about them, but I can imagine. Like, if someone's into like really big, crazy, sensational titles, it's like maybe someone's going to be like better at that than you.
Well,
I mean,
that's a yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who are TikTok. Why we always bring it back to TikTok. There is, I think, a vein of people who want to just simply blow up on the internet, which has always been around. Back in the Vine days, you know, we saw it a lot. You know, people doing everything they could to kind of like, you know, be on the, what was it called? The page?
Oh, the For You, or the
pop page? The popular page?
Popular page,
But now it's almost like so weirdly universal that you can't even spot that.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has like 100,000 followers on TikTok.
I'm always like weirdly, you know, not disappointed, but you know, like come across someone's page and they're doing something really cool. Yeah. It's like really cool. Like, and then I'll hear like them say, do this and do this so I can blow up. My goal is this and this. And I'm like, dude, at this point, what, as an audience member who's supposed to be absorbing your content and subscribing to the content you're making and your vibe and your energy, you're like graffitiing it with this weird sort of motive. And I'm like, I get it. But I also, the only reason why I kind of question that is I do feel like that is inherently, in a long-term capacity, regressive and unproductive, because I do feel like the people who stick around and win people over and actually affect people's lives is in an over time way. They just do their thing and then people find them, and it's not going to happen overnight, and maybe like that person won't hit 1 million followers as quickly, but like that stuff doesn't age well. Like anyway, it's not a good precedent to set for yourself. It's not a good thing to put onto your audience. I always have a hard time when people like are like bullying their audience into doing stuff. It's like, like even if, like what are you really gonna get from that other than a little bit of a spike in some numbers here and there? And I'm just like, I just don't think it's worth it, because as an audience member, I don't feel invited to that party. I feel like this is some sort of weird. Yeah, because you're right. It's dehumanizing to the viewer, man. Yeah, it just makes you go, I'm a person. Like, I'm listening to your words. And there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good people, a lot of examples, like some Twitch friends that we have and stuff too, who just do such a good job at like
fostering communities,
completely taking ownership of like their community that they have, and that's what I think is, you know, cool about doing a podcast.
Well, I want to name a few that I think are really great at that. Ethan Nestor is really good at that. I know Chris Melberger is incredible at that.
I mean, there are a lot of them, which is the flip side of that. But it seems like people who
Twitchers are like, that's like made for that.
It's like people who love what they're doing most of the time. I'm sure they have days where they don't love doing it, but they generally love what they're doing. They love interacting with people, and when it comes in numbers, it's like, yeah, if that's what they do for a living, of course they're going to pay attention to it. Sure. But they're not going to let that dictate their willingness to put out content.
Yeah, Andrew and I don't we don't upload a podcast and a week later just go like, oh, we don't even know how it did. We're not some gurus that are just completely, you know, detached from like having a good mind and caring about that too. But it's just everything. Everything in this life is not like, oh, don't even think about it. It's like, just keep it in check. But yeah, it is the thing to just be like, dude, just do what you're going to do.
Well, I also kind of watch the content of people who I aspire to be like in some way, shape, or form. You know, it's their demeanor, it's their
You don't want to be like someone who's neurotically screaming at their audience to get their way? You don't want to be like that, Andrew? That seems super cool and chill. No?
Okay, so like you guys let my last TikTok flop, so I don't even I saw somebody the other day, and it was, they were like showing part 1 of the video. Yeah. And then at the end of part 1, which was a full minute long TikTok or something, there was this whole song and dance about their their parameters around what would entitle the audience to get part 2 and what needed to happen and stuff. And I'm like, listen, I've seen, like, that's not the craziest thing ever. Like people gauging what their audience is interested in so that they can understand if it's even worth putting out something. That general premise isn't the craziest thing in the world because I've seen it before.
I don't love the standard it sets, but I understand.
If this video gets, X amount of likes or comments, I'll do this thing. That over time I can kind of understand because it's like, well, where am I going to put my energy? I want to do something that's going to be worth it for the audience, and I get it. There's only so much time in the day. But when you're doing it as a means of getting other things and you're kind of almost, you're basically you're like guarding this thing, and you're like, okay, once you do this, and this, then I'll do whatever. And I as an audience member personally go, just as many people do in context of normal relationships, when something gets into that, vein, they go, I don't even care anymore. Like, I what are you saying?
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, post the second part of it and then post another thing and then another thing.
The number one thing I know when I was, first started making things on YouTube, which my first video I've long privated. It was in 2008 about me making like a book cover, and it was a whole thing. But when I was working a full-time job at Funny or Die once upon a time, and I was like, I didn't want to make things. This was like 2012, 13, 14, I guess, like that kind of era, 15. I just didn't want to make things because I was assuming what kind of numbers they would get, and that would shut me down. I would go like, no, don't do this thing because you're going to put it up and it's going to get like 400 views and you're going to be like kind of depressed about it and whatever. That is the biggest enemy to creation, I think, is that kind of feeling of knowing how it's going to do. Because the best thing in the world and like the most like apparent truth that I could ever speak to creativity or creatives of any kind or anyone who wants to do things on the internet is absolutely just make what you're going to make as you naturally want to make it, because once it's out there, you have no idea what's going to happen to it. You have no idea what it's going to do. The best analogy when it comes to creative things, putting things on the internet in any respect is like, have you ever heard of the analogy of like people who put like notes in a bottle, like into the ocean, right? Like, oh, save me, I'm stuck on this island. Like put a note in a bottle and like send it out, right? I think of creative projects so much like that. When someone puts something on the internet, a TikTok, a YouTube video, anything, that's like, it's just like sending out these little bottles into like the ocean, right? And you never know where they're going to go. You never know what boat is going to hit them, what current they're going to get wrapped up in, what island they're going to land on, who's going to pick it up. And you never know who's going to see that thing, right? So I love the idea of people naturally putting things out there that they're delighted to make and just being okay with it, because it's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Yeah.
And that stuff is really, really cool. And so to see the antithesis of that energy, which is people being like, I'm only going to make things under these parameters. It has to get 100,000 likes. It has to be this thing. What do you want to see? That sets a really unhealthy standard on.
Honestly, though,
because I'm seeing my own family members in this stuff.
Well, but that's the thing. It's everywhere, and it's like, I mean, I think it's worth talking about because there's been friends that I know of who've made music.
Yeah.
And they'll put it up on like SoundCloud or something.
Interesting.
And they'll promote it a little bit, and then I'll go to look at the song because I'm like, oh, I want to hear that song. Gone. What's funny?
And you ain't talking in sync.
But what's crazy is, speaking of TikTok, and I do love TikTok, by the way, regardless of all the shade alarms that were thrown off about some of the creators on there.
Yeah.
Somebody the other day was explaining, there's an R&B singer named Bryson Tiller. Somebody explained that Bryson Tiller put this song up called Don't somewhere on SoundCloud or something.
Yeah.
And after a while, it wasn't getting a lot of plays.
Okay.
So he took it down.
Oh, no.
And then somebody said, yo, man, like we were looking for that song the other day. I was hanging out with a bunch of girls and we all wanted to play that.
Yeah.
And he's like, you and a bunch of girls wanted to listen to that song? So he put it back up. Now it has like over hundreds of millions of streams.
That is so funny.
And he gets like millions of monthly listens on Spotify because over time, he used that song to propel him and all that stuff.
Dude, that's the exact point that I made when I said about people assuming how numbers will be doing. When I likened creative things of any kind, a song, a project, a photo, a video, a TikTok is like putting out little bottles into the ocean. It's like you never know where those are gonna go.
I guess maybe the only reason why I wanted to rant about that is because I've realized the last few days I've been on my phone a lot, and I feel that it's not super good.
No,
whenever I'm on my phone for a long time, it like makes my brain turn to like clumpy mashed potatoes.
It's like a fog. It's just
no
like
gravy.
That's another big thing about the internet too, is that like you have to remember that at the end of the day, it's your job to curate the feed that you see. And that's something I realized about a year and a half ago is I went, wait a minute, the things that I see on the internet, yes, there's we all know about the algorithms that work to get you addicted to stuff and see things that you sometimes don't want to see. But at the end of the day, you're pretty in control. And there are tools that maybe sometimes they're a little hidden, i.e. muted words in Twitter or on Instagram, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you are pretty in control of what you see. So I am super cognizant and have been for the past year and a half of when I see something that doesn't make me feel spiritually good, or even worse in a weird way, makes me feel spiritually complacent or just doesn't do anything to me, but it's just this weird passive content that's just taking my precious time, not even making me feel anything, because I want, my feed to be things that make me feel good. So like, remember that you are in charge of that. But yeah, I think that that's a huge thing too. So I try to follow a lot of accounts that make me feel good. And I've, try to be a lot better at that too, to be like, wait, I'm in charge of what I see on the internet,
Yeah.
Like, don't just passively let the internet just consume you. That's what the companies want, man. Like, I said that in a silly voice, but I actually completely mean it, because we all know that if you've seen Social Dilemma. It's like, they want that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So try to kind of do your best to whip that into shape and be like, no, but I want this. And that takes intention, which is hard to come by nowadays with the internet.
I suppose at the end of the day, I'm very motivated at this current time to just be better, to feel good, to take more, control of just myself and make good decisions, and just be, inspired, and hopefully be to some degree at some point someday inspiring to other people. And it's kind of funny. It's like, well, you got to start small, and you think about the most common things, like, what am I staring at all day long? What content am I watching? What things am I normalizing? And when I think about that stuff, you get these sort of weird, sort of scrambled up rants about why some of this stuff probably isn't the best.
And you know what? I think a really applicable phrase, and that was beautifully stated, Andrew. And to summarize that mentality that you just said, is quite literally, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
That is one of, and of course, in food, generally speaking, but yeah, you are what you consume. You are the spiritual equivalent of what you choose to do with your time. By the way, thank you. I've seen comments on this podcast that are like, oh, this is my therapy, sweet, fun content. This is our therapy.
Yeah.
Andrew and I are never speaking from a place of like, this is what we do. We're speaking from a place of, we are always trying to do this. So thank you for being part of this.
Well, right now, I think weirdly enough, we would have probably had this conversation without microphones and cameras. 100%. Just because, the last few days I've been on my phone too much. I've been feeling weird. It's a really funny time.
It funny time.
It just is. Like So anyway, I hope that somewhere within that hour plus of content, you got something that planted an idea in your head, or something that at some point in time will, to some degree, possibly make you a better, happier person. That's all we can hope for. We're not experts, and we're just kicking around thoughts that we're trying to process. So that's also a disclaimer.
That's beautifully said, Andrew. That's it. That's the takeaway. Whatever the takeaway is, we hope you. Thanks for listening to this. We're always honored that people want to friggin' hear us ramble about these things, the things that we're always trying to work on ourselves. But
Baby Yoda is kissing the camera for those who can see. If not, just vision it.
Oh, he is so sweet. His little eyeballs.
Be sweet.
And see you next week.